Pakistan's nationwide economic crisis. Pakistan's resilient economy is stuck, once again, between a rock and a hard place. The high political drama and global geopolitical crisis have brought it to a crossroads, but the way forward is full of pain and no path towards economic stability is possible without political stability. A section of experts believe that the country is heading towards witnessing negative economic growth for the third time in the history of Pakistan in the current fiscal year, Jul-June 2022-23. The key crisis in the domestic economy is the fall of the country's foreign exchange reserves to the alarming level of $5.8 billion and the repayment of foreign debt worth $73 billion in the next 3 years, till end of fiscal year 2025. The rest of the crises in the economy are byproducts of the key crisis. They include a 49-year high inflation rate of 27%, a 23-year high key policy rate, benchmark interest rate, at 16%, increased rate of taxes and 28% devaluation of the domestic currency to 227 rupees against the US dollar in 2022. The World Bank in its annual debt report published recently estimated that Pakistan's total external debt was at $130.433 billion by 2021. The country has to pay $33 billion debts by FY 2023. State Bank of Pakistan Governor Jameel Ahmad in a podcast on December 8 said that $20 billion had been accounted for, but the country still needed to manage $13 billion during the rest of the fiscal year. A mistake at this crucial juncture would be to part ways with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and to consider the installation of a technocratic government. Both of these choices would be tantamount to economic suicide for the country. The dark clouds of likely default loom large on the fiscal horizon. Other critical international financing is linked to the IMF program, which means the South Asian nation of 220 million people will be hard-pressed to meet its external financing needs. Those total more than $30 billion up to June and include debt repayments and energy imports. Pakistan's total liquid foreign exchange reserves stood late last month at $11.7 billion, $5.8 billion of which are with the central bank. That is half the value of the foreign exchange reserves it held at the start of 2022. The urgent problem of recurring fuel and energy shortages is an especially visible result of a larger and complex problem with many moving parts. Pakistani authorities are trying to meet the basic needs of a large and impoverished nation while under heavy foreign pressure to pay long-standing debts and to take unpopular austerity measures in exchange for debt relief from the International Monetary Fund, which has now been delayed. Meanwhile, the Pakistani rupee has plunged to an all-time low of 230 against the dollar, and the country's foreign reserves shrank by 50% last year. Experts say the country has barely enough left to pay for another month's worth of fuel and energy imports. Inflation rose at unprecedented rates of 25% in the past year, hitting fuel and essential food items such as flour, rice and sugar especially hard. The best solution to the prevailing crisis is to get foreign debt restructured, as soon as possible. The current government in office is a very weak political government. It does not have the capacity required to sail the nation out from the current economic crisis. Political instability remains the single largest threat to the economic survival of Pakistan. It is destabilizing the economy with every passing day. In the long run, the government needs to undertake reforms, particularly in the energy sector.